What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this being my review for the Real Housewives of Potomac Season 10, Episode 1. Before I get into my review, y'all, I won't be touching on the entire episode, like talk about every single scene, but I'll just get on some talking points for the most important things that happened in the first episode. First of all, I have to say before I get started, this has to be the best opener for the Real Housewives franchises that I have seen in a very long time. Like, the girls are coming with it. So we start out with the episode with Karen being released from jail. Of course, we don't see her face. We just hear her voice saying thank you and are there tissues and, different random things. So we know that Karen is going to more than likely make an appearance on the show by the end of the season. So I'm not exactly sure how to feel about that. Of course, I do still love Karen. I do think that she is like the linchpin of this show. A lot of people might say Giselle is that girl in the Potomac Housewives franchise, but I believe it's Karen. But anyway, so all the girls meet at Giselle's house. We've got Wendy, Ashley, Giselle, Kiarna, and Stacy. They're all at Giselle's house. They're discussing the fact that they filmed this 2 days after Karen was sentenced to a year in jail. So they're all really worried about Karen. They throw a couple jabs at her saying she should be in the elderly section of the jail, the AARP section of the jail, of course, throwing, swift jabs at Karen about that. But anyway, so then the conversation moves to Stacy and her entire issue with TJ. And Stacy reveals to the women that TJ is very remorseful for his actions at the season 9 reunion. And then the producers proceed to show a tweet that was sent out by TJ saying something along the lines of, Stacy being a liar and that she paid him to be on the show with her and things of that nature. So let me address Stacy just really, really quickly. Because I think it's very important. First of all, I want to say that I hope that this whole Stacy TJ storyline is not going to happen throughout the entire season, because that is going to get old extremely quickly. I know that a lot of times Housewives of Potomac, they tend to stick with the storyline and have that storyline be like the through line throughout the entire season. And I have a feeling that this whole TJ Stacy thing is going to be that. But the fact that Stacy is continuing to deny the fact that she paid TJ, and I think the whole TJ situation is a twofold type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's a conversation of, were TJ and Stacy actually in a relationship? Were they actually romantically well, they weren't romantically involved or like physically involved, but you know were they actually interested in each other in a romantic way? And then I think the second prong to that question is, did she pay TJ to be on the show with her? So, first of all, did she pay him to be on the show? I'm not necessarily sure if that's the case, to be honest. I feel as though TJ revealing that he was paid is sort of kind of a stunt queen type of deal, you know what I'm saying? So, um, there are a lot of questions about TJ's sexuality and things of that nature. And so I just see TJ as a stunt queen. Now, do I believe that the two were actually romantically interested in one another? I personally do not believe that. I do believe that Stacey brought TJ onto the show to be a significant other, although I don't believe that they were actually romantically involved in any way, shape, or form. So I think the girls really need to take this conversation, if they're going to continue to have it, to not only just focus on the fact that she paid him. Well, I guess, if they're focusing on the fact that that she paid him, then that would take care of the fact that they weren't actually together. So I guess, both two birds with one stone, I guess, in that case. But Ashley has taken the initiative to really confront Stacy about this, and also confront Stacy about the fact that she may not even be divorced. So I'm thinking that that's going to be a very interesting thing to go through, because Stacy does bring her husband into the fray, or I guess her ex-husband into the fray. A lot of people are saying that he's a nice looking man. So those who believe that, go with that child. But anyways, and that's no shade to Stacy's husband. He's just not necessarily my type when it comes to older men. But it is what it is. If you like it, I love it. So be it. But anyway, so Ashley and Stacy meet up for looking. They're looking for gowns for Ashley's event that's going to happen at the end of the episode, and you know. Ashley once again confronts Stacy about this whole TJ thing and asking her if she's really divorced because Ashley's like, I am divorced, even though it took her 5 years to get divorced. I am divorced now, but I went into the registry and I didn't find your divorce anywhere for Virginia. So I think that's very interesting. And I will say though, as frustrated as I am with Stacey, I'm feeling that she's not being completely truthful about her whole TJ situation or her divorce. I do enjoy the way that she's kind of fending off these types of allegations towards her. She did walk off on two different conversations. She walked off when she was at Giselle's house and they were asking her about TJ. And she also walked off during her confrontation with Ashley. So I do like the way that she's kind of combating these girls concerning her whole thing with TJ. She's doing it very professionally. Stacey is a very extremely intelligent woman. I think she knows how the reality show game is played, and she's playing it to the T. And I really do enjoy that. Although I would love to hear the truth concerning TJ, I don't think we're ever going to hear it from Stacey. Now, I'm sure that Andy Cohen is going to try his darndest to get TJ at least on the reunion, if not on the actual show itself. I'm not sure if we're going to see him make an appearance this season. To tell us his side of the story. I think a lot of the viewers are interested in hearing what he actually has to say. The girls are saying that he's allegedly allegedly filing a lawsuit against her, stating that Stacey agreed to give him half of her Housewives of Atlanta paycheck. I don't believe that whatsoever. Once again, I think that's stunt queen type shit. So it is what it is. But anyway, so as far as Stacey is concerned, she's clearly going to be seen as somewhat of the villain of this season, and I'm okay with that. And I'm sure Stacey is fine with that as well. So I'm sure Stacey doesn't care how she's viewed, as long as she's on the show. So there's that. And the other thing that I wanted to discuss concerning this first episode is Kiarna and Wendy. Oh, before I get into that, we do have two new housewives. We have Kiarna's friend, and we also have Giselle's friend. So we'll see how they'll meld into the group. But anyway, so Kiarna and Wendy have this back and forth at Ashley's party. I think she called it her second blooming. And she's celebrating her divorce and all that good stuff. So Wendy and Kiarna were at the Essence Awards, I believe, and when Wendy saw Kiarna on the red carpet, Wendy apparently asked Kiarna if she had done her own makeup. Of course, anyone who would, be possibly a female or be in the LGBTQIA plus community would see that as shade. Like, that was absolutely shade for sure. And Kiarna is telling Wendy, you're one way with me over the phone, but then we get in person with one another, it's a totally different situation. So, Kiarna's feeling that Wendy is a bit dismissive when it comes to her, and that does not surprise me. Wendy, with Wendy, if you're not her friend, like a good gal pal with her, you shouldn't expect best friend type energy from her. I think that's unfair to expect her to treat you like you're something that you're not. And I feel like Kiana's looking for a moment because, they've had so much time in between these events and them now filming that, you took all this time to wait to tell me. They showed up at Giselle's house together in the same car. But you wait until this moment to bring up this issue with me. So Kiarna is clearly looking for a moment. And then also, Wendy was apparently a speaker at an event that Kiarna was a sponsor of. And my question is, if you're a sponsor at this event, Kiarna, then how is it that you did not know that Wendy was going to be a guest speaker at this event? And then on top of that, Kiarna was upset with Wendy for not acknowledging her while she was at the event. Now, Wendy said, so I'm up doing my speech and you expect me to give you a shout out, and Kiarna's like, well, you could at least give me a head nod or, some type of acknowledgement. Like, I was talking to my loctician yesterday when I was getting my hair done, and he said people do anything for clout. And like, that's clearly what Kiarna is looking for. Kiarna is looking for validation from an OG from Housewives of Potomac. She wants to be seen, and I get that. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be acknowledged, but there's a certain time and place for everything, and I thought Wendy handled that perfectly because she was like, "So you expect me while I'm on stage to wave at you and say, 'Hey, girl,' or give you a shout out?" Like that's Wendy's the ultimate professional, and in a way, sort of kind of a perfectionist, and you can't expect her to stop her speech just to give you a shout out or give you a head nod. Like I think that's unreasonable coming from Kiarna, but. Anyways, and Kiana's friend also seems to have some history with Wendy. Wendy gave her a very humble, very excited greeting when she saw her at Ashley's event. Wendy said that she is a familiar face, but she does not know her. And Kiana's friend seems to agree with that. So I guess we're going with the whole Wendy being kind of stuck up or, excuse me, or maybe acting a little bit too bougie for these girls. So apparently that's going to be the storyline when it comes to Wendy, which I'm okay with because Wendy stands in that. And that's one of the many reasons why I love Wendy because she makes no apologies for who she is. But what do you guys think of this particular episode of Housewives of Potomac? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Once again, I thought this was one of the best openers in Housewives history. And so I was very happy with it. And I'm really excited, especially to see how Monique will fit into this group and what her interaction with Giselle is going to be because we saw in the preview that Monique met up with Wendy, which I loved. Like I want Wendy and Monique to be BFFs. I want them to be the best of friends in this season. I want them to have somewhat of an alliance together and have each other's back through this entire thing. So what do you guys think? What are you guys' expectations for the rest of the season? Let me know down in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you press the like button. Give this video a thumbs up. Also leave a comment. Be sure to press the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And last but not least, be sure to share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. And also be sure to join me every Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my Hot Topics and Social Commentary show. We also always have a great time together. Love you guys for watching. See you on the next one. Peace out.